What's up, everyone? Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and this is our weekly Q&A show live on Facebook and YouTube. Unfortunately, we are not going to be going live on Instagram today, so it's just going to be Facebook and YouTube. So feel free to join in and hop in between those two and ask some questions. And join in on the conversation. Pretty much no topic is off limits for me. I don't think there are any topics that I would be afraid to talk to you guys about because I want to make sure at the very least that the conversation is started about it. I may not know much about the conversation or know much about the topic, but I want to start the conversation about the topics that I'm talking about and get the conversation started about it. If I don't know about it, you know what I mean? It can be anything. It doesn't really matter. So I want you guys to join in and let's have a conversation. At the moment, we don't have any dogs in our kennel at the moment. The next batch of dogs are coming in June 4th, and we're going to have 3 dogs that come in and party with us for 3 weeks, and they're going to learn some stuff. So I just had a private lesson with someone who had a dog that went through our board and train and needed a little maintenance. So we provide free private lessons before and after our board and train. So free private lessons for the rest of the dog's life, essentially. And we want to make sure that you guys stay on the right track. That is our goal. I don't have a lot of time to spare, but I will try and get anybody in that needs help. And so those free private lessons are there so that we can stay on the right track. The good thing is, no matter where your dog's at, it has some sort of foundation of obedience coming through our board and train, and we can kind of troubleshoot. You know, we're not going to always be able to predict what goes on each and every situation that happens, but sometimes there will be ups and downs. And I tell people that it is a journey helping dogs learn. Once it comes to door counting and refresher course, beers included. I will come to door counting for beers in a second. We were just up there. I forget the name of the restaurant we were at, but it was excellent. Oh my God, I got to tell you about this. So first of all, we had never had this before. It was, God dang, shrimp. Was it shrimp? Was it seafood? Some sort of cheese curds that were just to die for. And we were sitting on top of this roof or whatever, overlooking it. But it was good evening, Joe. It was just excellent. I think it was maybe called shrimp cheese curds or something like that. Anyway, man, they were amazing. So me and Alyssa took a bike ride up there, and it was a very good, thank you. It was a very good ride. It was great weather, as you know, for Memorial Day weekend. So I hope you guys had a great Memorial Day weekend because we did. So cheers to that. All right. So just a little bit more about that training session. Okay, so it brought up a good point that I think a lot of people may need to hear and may need to try. All right. Our goal with dog training, especially when we're using these type of tools or any type of tools, the goals of the tools is to get the dog to understand that our word means something very valuable. When we say something, it must resonate with the dog. They must do it, and they must do it at a high level. And that means that you don't give the dog 5, 6, 7 chances before the dog actually does it. So it's not go to your bed, go to your bed, go to your bed, come, 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 come. I want the dog to come, immediately. We need the dog to come, especially the dogs that we work with that are sensitive, intelligent, aggressive, fearful. Those dogs need to listen at a very high level because it could be the difference between them learning or doing something horrible. Okay. And so we really have to get them to listen to our words. And so the tools are there to get us there. The tools are temporary. Okay. And so if you want to get past using those tools very quickly, then you will have to be as tough as necessary on your dog in order for the dog to listen to your words and not the e-collar or the prong collar or anything else like that. So if I tell my dog to go lay down and it doesn't, I have to use the e-collar the second time so that the dog we can one day not have to use the e-collar. All we're trying to convince our dog is that when I say something, you must do it for your benefit. It's not like we're trying to be rude or anything like that. The difference between your dog biting someone, getting attacked, something, again, horrible happening, is how well the dog listens to you. So it's very important that we get that sort of response from our dogs, especially, again, if we're working with those dogs that are a little bit more difficult than others. And so if the collar is at 20, right, the e-collar level is at 20, and that is only, temporarily or sort of maintaining your obedience, but the dog is still focusing on something that you would not like, then try turning it up 15, 20 levels. Okay, because then you won't have to use the e-collar anymore. So that's my point. You will have to show tough love in the beginning in order to move away from that, move away from using the e-collar, as opposed to using 20 in the level and then having to use the e-collar for the rest of its life. Go ahead and get it done when you have the opportunity so that you can one day not have to worry about it at all. All right? So very important. Tools are temporary. Our dogs are supposed to listen to us, not the tools. And if they listen to us, then the tools don't matter. But the tools are the bridge to get there. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get to some questions. Okay. Erica asked, hey there, how do you introduce a big dog to a little dog? Little dog is alpha. Well, if the little dog is alpha, then I would control the little dog. I'd make sure that the little dog was sort of in control. And I'll go back to this. I'll mean voice control. If you can say the dog's name or say no, you should actually get a response out of the dog. You can keep a leash on the dog, the little dog, or you can allow the dog to drag a leash if the dog gets to, if the dog does anything that's unfair or unruly, then the dog will have to be corrected for that. Okay, that behavior, so that the dog can understand that it has no choice but to sort of submit to the situation if it's a fair one, if it's a safe one. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would do. I would make sure that little dog is under control, and I think you'd have some good success after that. But thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another one. You guys are not limited to one question. We want to have a conversation, so ask me as many questions as you like. Okay, next question. Tanya says, new to the page, best way to get over the whining when trying to crate train at bedtime. Okay, Tanya, so just remember that when dogs whine, they want to get something. And so you'll have to show that dog overall that whining gets them nothing. and calm behavior would get them everything. And so you'll either have to wait it out and give the dog a job to do, or tell the dog no in the crate. Okay. So one of the things that we do to help with the crate training, because I have to crate train dogs very quickly because I like to sleep. Um, so one of the things that we do is when we put the dog in the crate, we'll let them be in the crate, and then we'll open the door just about an inch. Okay. And then the dog will obviously assume that it can come out because that's what happens when you open the door. And then just shut the door on the crate very quickly and tell the dog no. That'll kind of keep the dog quiet, and repeat if need be. But that sort of has what is the first thing that we do to sort of tell the dog to relax in the crate. The crate is a place of relaxation. No whining, no barking, no scratching, no nothing. Just relaxation. Um, and so that's what I would do. Okay. Also, no treats given, no sweet talk in the crate. If you want, pretty much, if you want a dog to be calm anywhere, you want to limit the amount of talking and interaction and sort of be indifferent. You will start to see that when you ignore your dog, that your dog will then go lay down and be quiet um, or behave. And so if you're paying attention to the dog, if the dog is whining, because whining is for attention, whining is to get out, whining is to do what it wants. And so you'll really have to, again, uh, teach the dog that whining gets them nothing that it doesn't, nothing that it likes, and it also may get them something that it doesn't like, which is your no, which is you telling them to sit, and which is the door being shut on its nose or whatever. All right. Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another. Okay. Michelle asked, how do you feel about dogs sleeping in their human's bed? Well, it depends on the dog. If the dog is good, I don't care what people do with their dogs. If the dog is having trouble in any way, that's a good boundary to have. I was just on the phone conversation with two people this week that said, okay, this is what they call me with. Okay. They say, okay, hey, dog trainer, my dog's aggressive. I don't know why. My dog's aggressive. Hey, dog trainer, can you help me? I don't know what to do. I said, does your dog bark in the house? Yes. Does the dog jump on you? Yes. Is the dog sleep with you? Yes. Is the dog allowed on the couch? Yes. Okay. So we got something we can work with. If your dog is aggressive in any way, those things that I just listed, if you can eliminate those things, then the aggression, chances are, and a good chance, the aggression goes away. If your dog is not allowed to jump on you, if your dog is not allowed to bark, if your dog is not allowed on the couch, if the dog is not allowed to sleep with you, I bet you the aggression goes away. Because 99% of the time, aggression is usually attached to all those behaviors. Okay, so I really wonder how sometimes we don't make the connection. Well, my dog is biting people, but is it because people experience dogs that jump, bark, and don't bite? Because that's that's legit. I think that there are dogs out there that do that. Um, but there are no dogs that bite. Like I said, 99% of them uh, that are biting are also jumping, barking, and sleeping with their owner. So to answer your question, again, I don't care if the dog is good. I don't really care if the dog isn't good. But if you train with me, I'm going to tell you I don't want the dog in the bed. No, not at all. Especially if the dog has any sort of fear, aggression, or just being a jerk. So that's that. Thanks for your question, Michelle. Feel free to ask another. Quiet, Oakley. All right, next question. Taylor says, we just adopted a new dog last Friday. He likes to bark at people / dogs walking past the house, past the window. It can be redirected within 2 barks, but how do we work on getting him to bark? How do we work on not getting him to bark in the first place? All right, so check this out. So you got a new dog, man. And I'm gonna tell you, this is a great question, and it's a great topic, and I'm glad you asked this question. So here's what I would say. You have a new dog that's super new, right? It's new to your environment. It's new to you. It doesn't really know you. It doesn't really know the environment. And so we can't really blame the dog for barking. We can't really blame the dog for being cautious. It's just doing what it think it needs to do in order to help the dog feel safe about itself. So, but I'm going to tell you a really good game plan on getting the dog to really transition well. That's going to be really good for you guys and for the dog. All right. So, because I have to bring in dogs all the time for 3 weeks at a time that are very aggressive, very human aggressive. They don't know me. And I have to get them dogs to get to know me, get along with me, trust me. And I also have to put the dog in stressful situations, all while not getting bit or not getting other people bit or not getting other dogs bit. So it's sort of a fast track way to get the dog to trust you and be friendly with you. All right. You ready to hear it? Here it goes. So the first thing that I would say is very important is your priority should not to be friendly to make the dog feel safe. That is I guess maybe it could be an instinctual pursuit or instinctual attempt to get the dog to feel good about where it's at. A lot of petting, a lot of friendship, a lot of this, a lot of that. But that's not what is going to make the dog feel to optimize the safety of the dog and optimize your relationship with the dog. Okay. Not depending. It doesn't matter if the dog is a rescue or not. Doesn't matter. But here's the deal. I provide structure for the dog when I get to know a dog. I don't provide my friendship necessarily. I want the dog to listen because structure is more important on a safety scale wise than friendship. Friendship means you do what you want and there's no boundaries. Structure wise says you can't do this. These are the rules and you can't do this. They will love that. They will thrive when that is presented. Okay? Obviously, I trust that people are going to be reasonable with those boundaries and be fair with those boundaries. But those boundaries is what's going to create the trust and safety that the dog will need to get over the barking and to also have a respectful relationship with you and your family. That is the most important thing. The dog starts to say, you guys are good and I feel safe with you guys because you have shown me that this environment is safe. I'm not finding out on my own that this environment is safe, and I don't have to advocate for myself in this environment because someone is doing it for me. And that's what they need to do. That's what you would ultimately need to do because they are not as well, they're not as I was going to say not as intelligent as humans, but still, I think humans also strive in structure as well. But children do. But so yeah, structure. Okay. So when you bring in that first dog, I mean, let the dog drag a leash around the house. I just had a call today that they just rescued this dog, and the dog will not let them touch them, and the dog pees um, when they approach him. And I said, just put a leash on the dog for a few days. For the first week, keep a leash on. It's fine. So that way you can move the dog around. The dog has enough space now to get to know you without you touching them. And you can, again, move the dog without putting too much body pressure on the dog to where the dog pees. So just to concentrate on your question again, again, be sort of allow the dog to really come to you. Don't force yourself on the dog, but make the dog do something. That's what's really going to stop the barking. A lot of crate time would be helpful because crate time means security and safety, and there should be rules around that crate also. But again, I take in very human aggressive dogs, and I am um, uh, very adamant about certain rules. But in doing so, all of them really end up liking me because I'm consistent, and I show them that certain things aren't necessary to worry about. I got it. You know what I mean? And so that's what your focus should be on with your new dog in order to optimize the transition, right? A lot of people, again, have problems with their dog moving from place to place, location to location. It's very important that your dogs trust you to a certain degree to where that isn't an issue, because it's an issue for a lot of people. Moving with your dog. Oh, he goes into this, nervous panic stuff or barking at everyone and everything like that. Well, if your dog is doing that, especially if you know your dog and your dog knows you, then you have to do more work on the trust end of your relationship between you and your dog. Dog should trust you enough to, despite whoever comes to the door, whoever walks past the window, whatever truck runs past the door, the house, that it doesn't have to bark out the window. It doesn't have to bark its head out the window. That's not. That's not a. Hi, Ashley. Appreciate it. That's not something that's good for the dog, because there's a fine line that you're flirting with, and sometimes people can get hurt from that, or other dogs, or whatever it may be. Whew. All right, that was a long-winded answer, and I'm very glad that you asked that question. Feel free to ask more questions. All right. Okay. Thanks, Amy. Appreciate it. All right. Shannon says, I have a 8-year-old that has always been crated when we're not home. About 3 years ago, she started breaking out if one of us, myself or my daughter, went away for the night / few days. Once back, she stopped. Now, within the last year and a half, she breaks out as soon as we walk out of the door. She don't really get into anything except the garbage a few times. Mainly is laying on the dog bed beside my other dog crated. Went away this weekend and tried crating her at my mom's, and she went crazy trying to rip the bars off. How do I retain her to stay in the crate? I have it completely zip tied except the door, and that's how she goes out. You have to give her a job to do in that crate. Second. Okay. First thing that's very important between you guys and this dog. The dog, it has a sort of a codependency between you and your daughter, which means you guys are petting the dog way too much. The dog is so wrapped up in its insecurity via your affection and praise that the dog doesn't know what to do with it without it. It's like a drug to her. Your affection, you and your daughter's affection, is like a drug to that dog. And when it's away, it does destructive things and it indulges in destructive behavior. And so, the first thing, and this is going to be a tough thing, but it's going to be the most reliable thing and the more permanent approach. And that would be to don't pet the dog when the dog comes to you, guys. When the dog comes to you to want to be pet, don't pet the dog. Only pet the dog when the dog is being calm. So you go to the dog. You'll have to start ignoring the dog. There's a codependency issue between the dog and you guys. That's why that anxiety being separate from you occurs. Okay, that's the first thing that I would do. That's more of a, I don't know what you would call it, non-technical approach. Okay, and the technical approach then would be to train the dog to lay down in the crate. Obviously, when you're home, you need to crate the dog so that the dog gets practice in the crate. All right, the dog gets practice being crated while you're home, so you have the opportunity to get the dog to be calm in the crate. No zip ties should be needed. No trying to keep the dog in one spot should be needed. That should not be our approach. Our approach should be the dog should be in the crate and the dog should be laying down and being calm. But we have to train them to be calm to get that state of mind. Not let's keep her in somewhere where she can't get out, despite her behavior. That is a way, but it's the short way and it's the non-learning way and it's the non-healthy way for the dog. And so you really want to teach the dog to lay down in the crate, be calm in the crate. And then you teach other people like your mom or whoever the dog stayed with, those same protocols so that they can get the same behavior in the crate. All right. So what I would do again is focus on not petting the dog so much when the dog comes to you for petting. The dog you guys have an insecure bubble around that dog and it gets to indulge in it when it sees you too. So I would start pushing the dog away and really creating some autonomy between you and the dog. And then again, separation anxiety protocol is really getting the dog to be calm in the crate. I have a YouTube video on how to keep dogs calm in the crate, how to get dogs calm in the crate. And I encourage you guys to go to that YouTube channel and watch those videos. It'd kind of be a lot to explain step by step on this podcast. Okay, but that's my approach, and I think that would be beneficial for a lot of dogs that have separation anxiety. Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Okay, Michelle says, what are your favorite ways to build pack drive? Looking for ways to encourage my dogs to look to me as a leader. Here's a great way. You ready? Take a walk with your dogs, off leash. And if they get 30 yards in front of you, turn the other direction and hide on them. And then when they find you, do it again. Building pack drive means the need to want to be by you. The want to be by you, the want to come to you. You know what I mean? Pack drive means the drive to be by its pack leader. And so off leash walking is the best way, man, to build that relationship. When I get a new dog, that is the first thing I do. I just want to walk with the dog and let the dog know that, hey, you got to follow me. If we're a pack of wolves, the leader doesn't say come. The alpha doesn't say come, down, stay. Alpha doesn't say any of that crap. The alpha just goes. And everyone else follows. No problem, no question. You know what I'm saying? So that's sort of what I do. I take a walk. I may change direction a lot. I may play hide, um, and the dog may try and find me. You know, you let the dog use its nose too, which is pretty awesome. You know what I'm saying? Dog uses its nose, and finds you via whatever ground scent, air scent. That's a very cool bonding thing you can do. I really enjoy those though doing that. My dogs know that they have to look back to me because if they're not looking back, then they're not thinking about me, and I want them to think about me. So if they're not, then I'm hiding on them. Go ahead, go. See you. See you later. Bye. Go ahead, keep going. You look back and I'm not there. And then they start to say, "Well, where the hell is he?" And then they start to find me. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see them working to find you. Um, but they just have to know that you're not going to be there every time that they go out and explore. And that's how you can sort of keep them on their toes too. It's a pretty cool situation. All right. Thanks, Michelle, for your question. Feel free to ask another. All right. Let me see. I've got some questions on YouTube. All right. Next question. How do you handle off-leash dogs / walks in your own yard? People will say, "Oh, our dog is friendly, but ours isn't. I know my nervous energy is rubbing off on him, but it terrifies me if something were to happen." Well, okay. So if I have a dog who isn't friendly and he's off leash and there's people around, um, wait, maybe that's not your question. How do I handle off leash dogs on walks / in your own yard? People will say, "Oh, our dog is friendly, but ours is not. I know my nervous energy." Okay, so if I'm walking a dog and he's not friendly, and I see another dog, um, I just tell them, Don't let your dog come up to mine. I'm sorry, my dog's in training," or "I'm sorry, my dog's not friendly." Don't let that happen. I really tell people in general that people should not allow their dog to meet and greet other dogs on leash. Period. It's especially if the dogs don't know each other. There can be dogs who are very social with dogs off leash, but when they're on leash, they can look like complete animals. Well, they are animals. Complete, not the friendly dog that they were. You know what I mean? And so dogs act different on leash than they do off leash sometimes. And so, again, it's very advisable that dogs don't meet on leash. And so I just keep my dogs away from other dogs, especially out of control dogs, because you never know. You could be running into a dog that is aggressive. And if you continue to meet other dogs on leash, then you run the risk of your dog getting attacked. And no one wants to deal with that. No one wants to deal with that because that could really set your dog back. Now your dog becomes leash aggressive. You know what I mean? Now your dog becomes very fearful on walks, on leash. On leash is a very intimate thing for some dogs, smart dogs, I'd say. On leash is very intimate. You got to make sure you're keeping you're keeping their trust once you gain it. Don't let other dogs just come up. A lot of dogs that I see have been attacked on leash. That's the problem. And so, again, it's just very important that we advocate for them on leash. And if we see that rambunctious or that dog aggressive dog coming up, and that owner says, even though that owner says, "Oh, our dog is friendly," don't take our word for it, because in general, people don't know about dog behavior. So keep your dog away from out of control dogs. If a dog is nice and calm and you can tell, just use your instincts. That's how you can tell. I mean, it's not science. That's kind of it kind of sucks that there are dog trainers now who are promoting science in their attempts to get you to buy into their dog training program. Oh, it's science-based dog training. I think that's kind of popular in a lot of different industries now. Science-based. What you mean science-based? What does that mean? Does that mean there's scientists that are dog training? What? Does that mean that there are scientists out there that are walking dogs and dealing with separation anxiety? I don't think so. There's no scientists that have experienced separation anxiety. I mean, they may be able to tell you what's going on in the brain, and I'm not going to totally negate what science can tell you, but they're certainly not walking dogs. They certainly don't know how to make a dog walk loose leash. So this whole science-based pitch is only to get people to say, "Oh, wow, what else?" Anyway, so the dog that I was working with today was again a past client, and the dog was had just moved. Okay, and the dog was focused on the neighbor's daughter. All right, and we were at a level 20 with the e-collar, and the level 20 didn't work. And so when it comes to kids and dogs, again, there's no shortcuts to that. There's no going around, beating around the bush when it comes to children and dogs, in my opinion. And so it was a quick fix, though. Indy had a good foundation, been with me for 3 weeks, and I knew exactly what to do because I knew the dog well enough. That's what the 3 weeks provide me. I can give the owners a good diagnosis of their dog's temperament and a good game plan going forward. Okay. And sometimes I'm just there to remind people that they have to be on the same page. Sometimes couples tend to be in disagreement on how tough or how not tough to be on the dog. Or some couples, one of them will be very soft on the dog, and one of them will have to play bad cop. And so sometimes I'm there to just tell people, hey, guess what? You guys got to be on the same page. Both of you guys are right to a certain degree. Yes, you should be tough on the dog. And yes, you should be soft on the dog. And both of those combined is going to make the perfect dog with enough time and the right approach. So, yeah, sometimes I sort of play, hey, you guys, you're both right. Let's get it together. And when you get together, it all clicks. But sometimes there is some miscommunication on what to do and how to do it and how hard to be and how soft to be. So there was a little bit of that today as well. I mean, Indy was, very, very fearful when it came to strangers in the beginning. And one of the other things that I recommended too, so they like to go up north, they like to camp, they like to have their dog off leash in the camp. And, people come in, children come in, dogs come in, dogs good with other dogs. But I told them, I said, hey, guess what? The dog does not have to be a part of every minute of every situation or every moment of your weekend. Give you guys a break. Give the dog a break. You're actually helping the dog when you actually put the dog away. You know what I mean? One of the best things I like to do with my dogs when I have people coming over is I'll take them on an early morning, nice, long, thorough walk and get them nice and tired. And then I'll put them away while my guests are here. Because you want to know why? Because I don't want to deal with him. I don't want to deal with having to worry about the dogs and what they're doing to my guests. Don't want to do it. If I'm ready and I'm willing, and then I'll bring them out. Yeah, I'll bring them out, and we'll get better as time goes on. But guess what? I got all the time in the world, so I don't have to rush this. This isn't something. Okay, most people's approach is, all right, everyone's over. Let's have the dog out. And it's like, no, 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 no. Put the dog away. Enjoy your company. And if you feel like it, if you're game, bring the dog out on leash. And I'm speaking to dogs, again, who are out of control, who may be aggressive towards humans. You know, again, you have all the time in the world to address that issue. You don't even have to do it when there's a lot of people. Do it when there's 2, 3 people. You know, slowly integrate that approach that you want. Not, oh, here's a bunch of people, get along. That's not the right approach. That could be overwhelming. You could actually do a lot of good things while the dog is in the crate, while the dog is training in the crate. You can train the dog to be good with that crowd while the dog's in the crate. Because if the dog remains calm in the crate, then the dog is still learning that people and things like that don't have to worry about. So it's not about getting it done right away as soon as possible. Give your dog some time. Give yourself some time. Give your dog a breather. Give yourself a breather. You're advocating for the dog when you want to go put the dog away. And then what's cool about that is, again, you can sort of prepare your guests for what's going on, which makes it a win-win situation. It's not, okay, the dog's in place and everyone walks in. No, dog may not be ready for that yet. Put the dog away first. First 10 minutes, put the dog away. And then let your company come in and settle. Let them know the rules, and then bring the dog out. See how much of a difference that makes. It makes a big difference. So, if you have a dog who is aggressive, human aggressive, or nervous about people walking in and stuff like that, when you have people come over, put the dog somewhere. Do not allow the dog to just have free roam of the house. You're setting yourself up for failure. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, you guys, feel free to ask any questions. Like I said, ask as many questions as you like. If there's a topic that interests you, please feel free to comment. I can definitely talk about any questions and comments that you would like, or any topics that you would like. This is what we do here. Oh, got a question that's coming in. All right. I just want to say that your board and train is amazing. Our guests are always comment on how well Sammy stays in his place and ignores everybody until we give him the command. Thank you. Oh, you're being too generous. I don't believe you, but I'll take it. I love Sammy. I just actually was thinking about Sammy the other day. But thank you very much. That's a great compliment, and hope Sammy's doing well. Yeah, thank you for that. All right. Sammy's an awesome dog. He was just young, rambunctious everywhere, super motivated. His testosterone was going through the roof. He was that puppy that wanted to just be by all the dogs, and just a very rambunctious dog. So I should say that I don't exclusively train just aggressive dogs. It's just not the only type of dog that I train. I also train just dogs who are people whose dogs just want to get a little bit more control over. So that was Sammy's approach, or Sammy's challenges. He was just very energetic, but good puppy. All right. Next question. Is the honeymoon period for a rescue a real thing? They say you don't see its true personality for a few weeks. Is that true? It is absolutely true. Yes. I wouldn't label it honeymoon period. Well, okay, in the sense where the dog doesn't act out. Yeah, I would say that's a honeymoon situation because it's a good thing, right? But the dog is sort of like, questioning itself, not sure if it can be itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, can I do this? And that's totally normal. I bring in dogs, even the most, aggressive dogs, even the most fearful dogs or whatever. They're all in that first week, they're all like, what's this place? Who are you? I better chill. Like they're very good. And then their brattiness, their pushiness, their stubbornness starts to come out after that first week. So you're absolutely right. That is a real thing. And yeah. So I only really truly see some of the issues that these dogs present to me, or present to their owners, and then they present it to me after about a week. And that is because, again, they're finally getting comfortable enough to to do what they habitually have done, that gets them what they want back in their old environment. So a lot of people think that they're uh, oh, I don't want to send my dog to you because when they're off my environment, they don't do what they do. They don't do what they normally do in my environment. And it's like, yeah, they will. They may not do it to the extent that they do it at their home, because dogs tend to act the most crazy or whatever, and in their home. But that's okay. I don't have to get them to try and bite me in order to fix biting. I don't have to get them to try and attack my dogs in order to get them to be more dog friendly. Where we are, because it's not about the biting, it's not about the actual biting and aggression that is the problem. It's the all the other stuff that I mentioned earlier. It's the jumping, barking, not listening. That has to be addressed. That's what has to be addressed. Calmness in the crate. There's no dog that will bite. That um, there's no dog that will bite that isn't one of those things, right? So if a dog is biting, guaranteed the dog barks at the window. Guaranteed the dog barks on the leash. Guaranteed the dog can't be calm in the crate. Guaranteed the dog is crazy in the car. Guaranteed the dog's on the couch. Guaranteed the dog's on the bed. Guaranteed the dog gets pet all the freaking time. Guaranteed the dog gets treats all the freaking time. So, not saying all of those things, but no, but there's at least two or three of those things. You know what I'm saying? Those dogs do at least come a couple of those things that bite. So those bratty behaviors are not separate from the biting behavior. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know how I got back to that from that question, but I did. Um, so I hope that answers your question. Yes, the honeymoon phase is a real thing for a rescue, for sure. So thank you for your question. All right, you guys. Hey, give me some last questions. Any last questions or comments that you got? If they're burning inside, please let me know. Otherwise, we're going to be here next week, same time, and with a whole new group of dogs. And I'll be telling you guys about those new dogs and their personalities. This doesn't get old to me. There are dog trainers that say, "Oh, dog training is it starts to get boring after a while." And it's like, really? What do you mean? I mean, I don't get that, because all dogs are different to a certain degree. All owners are different to a certain degree, and working with them is what is most important and also the most intriguing to me. And so, trying to figure out the best way to communicate to the dog and to the owners, and that whole dynamic between dog and owner is very difficult, and it's a challenge, and it's awesome. Okay, so if your dog trainer says dog training is the same, or if they figured it out, or if they call themselves a master dog trainer, find another trainer. Just kidding, but maybe not. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you guys like this. If you are watching from YouTube, please subscribe. And I got to sound all commercial right now, but thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back next week. See you later.